What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Reignmakers Fantasy Golf Show presented by DraftKings Reignmakers. As always, I'm Cupe and I'll be your host. I can't wait to get into the recap and preview show here on Monday. But first, with me as always is TJ. TJ, how was your US Open weekend? And of course, we want to know, what did you think of the golf?
Doing well. Yeah, great weekend of golf. I'm sure we'll get into the course. A lot of chatter about whether the course was quote unquote good or quote unquote bad. Saw a variety of different comments from players, but what a finish down the stretch on Sunday. Fantastic job by Wyndham Clark getting it done. Really having to make a lot of tough shots down the stretch too. Make some tough putts, some tough two putts. So really showed a ton of versatility in his game. Rory coming up just shy. My winner pick from last week, one stroke short, but yeah, fun weekend. Excited to dive into it, and also happy Father's Day to Coop and all the other dads out there. Hope you guys had a good one yesterday.
Yeah, I also love the combination of the U.S. Open and Father's Day. Just an awesome tradition to hang out on Sunday, catch some golf, play some golf yourself, get out there, touch some grass. TJ and I played some golf over the week, earlier in the week, so it was been fun to get out and get your own golf game started. Middle of the summer, it's fun to get out there. But yeah, there was a ton of controversial takes. I think the core. Let's start with let's start with Wyndham first. I think super deserved winner. When you look at how he got it done, basically gained strokes throughout the bag, gained strokes off the tee, ball striking around the green, putting gained 7 strokes, short game gains 11 strokes. I mean, his short game was phenomenal on Sunday. Can't say enough about the positions he found himself in and the way in which he was able to make par. It really did, for me, feel like Sunday at the United States Open. Par was an absolute fantastic score. Even par 70 is what Wyndham, Rory, and Scotty all come in at the top 3 on the leaderboard. If a putt or two goes down for any one of those guys, I think we could have saw some crazy swings. And I think just the fact that these guys were so close to each other. You saw Rory openly on camera, like looking back at Wyndham shots at like where he was in the green. 14 specifically was one where, Rory didn't play the hole very well, hits a wedge. First he lays up. Then he hits a wedge. His third shot is approach into the green, hits it into the bunker, and somehow makes bogey on the 14th, the par 5. And Wyndham Clark, right after that, steps up and hits the shot of the tournament, 270-yard 3-wood right up the mouth of the green. Basically hits it perfectly. He's got 30 feet, 35 feet, maybe a little less than that, honestly, for Eagle. And you could see Rory knew exactly where he was. So he knew that he needed to make some birdies coming down the 16, 15, 16, 17, 18 stretch, which played as a really hard stretch of golf after the short par 3 15th. 16, 17, and 18 all played well over par. I think in general, we saw the guy who hit it best all week long win the tournament. Guys maybe hit it better than Wyndham on a given day. Ricky shoots a 62, Xander shoots a 62. Both of those tie U.S. Open records for low rounds of the United States Open. So we saw guys go low out there, but this course really was a war of attrition, how it got set up. I think Thursday and Friday played a bit easier. And the weekend, they got the sunshine. They got maybe a little bit of wind. The greens baked out a bit. And this course, in my opinion, played like a really fun U.S. Open course. Also like a really different U.S. Open course. I don't think you turned it on and thought, oh, man, every time a guy misses the fairway, he's completely dead like you do at, Winged Foot or Shinnecock, where, missing fairways is just so brutal. So I think you just saw a different kind of course for this tournament, which in my opinion, I really liked. I don't know if you, what were your thoughts, T, just on like the course and Wyndham and his play in general?
Yeah, I thought the course was fine. I'm not gonna complain about it. Thought that it had some unique holes for sure between the really long par threes contrasted with the one par three playing 90 yards one day. So I kind of liked how you had different looks, and you had the short par four as well. What was that, the sixth hole, where people were kind of making the decision whether or not to go for it. So I thought it made people make a lot of unique decisions. Some of the pin placements were definitely the kind of placements where if you hit a really, really good shot, you're in there tight to make birdie, but the margin for error and the ability for those tight pins to turn into bogeys quickly, I feel like gave that wide range of scores. And you saw it even on Sunday, right? There were quite a few. Tommy Fleetwood was making a run at one point at what he shoots 7 under. A couple people went low. Rahm went low on Sunday. So yeah, thought that it was playing tough but fair, and there were certainly some gettable holes, and I think it led to an interesting 4 days too. Ricky Fowler, certainly one of the headliners of the weekend, almost going wire to wire, but not quite having it on Sunday. But good to see Ricky continue to play some good golf. And yeah, overall, I think it was a fun U.S. Open major. Course played great. Wyndham Clark, maybe not the winner we thought we would be getting, but a very deserved winner, as you said, and someone who's really coming onto the scene here in 2023. And it'll, we'll stick around to see if he's someone who's going to continue to be in the mix or if he fades in the background over the next couple of tournaments here.
Yeah, I want to hit on Wyndham. I also want to hit on Ricky too. I mean, Wyndham Clark. One of the things that really stood out to me is someone who, Pacific Coast golf. You're really watching golf on the East Coast until 10 p.m., which I thought was pretty fun. For me, I was able to catch most of the entire day for the leaders on Sunday. But what was really impressive, in my opinion, for Wyndham Clark was how he handled himself after winning the U.S. Open. His press conference, he minced zero words, and I think I tweeted this. I mean, he basically said, "I should have won Memorial. I should have won many other tournaments that I've played over the course of the last year or so, and I feel like my game is on par with the best in the world." He really sort of made it seem like, this is a coming out party for me, and I've got my wins, and I know how to win golf tournaments now, and I'm going to keep doing it. So I really am excited to see how he marches forward. Golf is such a ego-driven game. It's such a game. And when you think about the greats, when you think about Tiger, one of the things I think about a lot with Tiger is his first interview on the PGA Tour. He's being interviewed, and he's like, "I came to win the tournament." You need to have this sort of egotistical mindset that your skills are good enough to win. And Wyndham talks a lot about, his sports psychologist coach who just puts the right thoughts in his heads at the right time. They talked about a conversation they were having on the range before the round on Sunday, and he was saying how they were talking about anything besides golf. They were talking about real estate and the nice houses on the course and everything. And you can just tell that he's worked on the mental side of the game. He and many other players have just about every physical attribute that you need to play professional golf, can hit every shot. And you think about what Max Homa has done in the last year or so. He worked on hitting every shot and could hit every shot in the bag, but then realized, I just need to mentally hit the shot that the course is demanding or that I feel comfortable hitting. So you can tell how much mental pressure they are on out there, and just an outpour of emotion on the 18th green. Talked a lot about his mom, how he lost his mom to breast cancer. I thought that story is in his head. I just thought he handled himself like such a consummate professional, someone who, it wasn't his first time winning. It was something he rehearsed. He had visions, and he had thought of, winning this big of a tournament before. So I think it's going to really be interesting to follow Wyndham's career over the next year or so, because he's going to be in every elevated event. He's going to be back at the majors now. He's going to be playing, amongst the best of the best fields in golf, and he believes he can win. And when you have that kind of self-belief, you can be really dangerous on the golf course. So to me, that really stuck out to me in terms of, not just how he got it done and him winning it, but the confidence that he had afterwards and how he handled everything about winning the tournament. So I thought that's really stood out to me.
Yep, and we'll see him back at it this week at the Traveler, so gets a chance to jump right back in, assuming that he stays in the field, which it seems like he probably will. We'll get to that later in the show, but definitely a very stacked field coming up. So no major hangover to be had this coming week. We've got all the best of the best back in action right away.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're going coast to coast. We're going Los Angeles Country Club to little town in Connecticut to TPC River Highlands. So we're gonna cover that. A couple more quick points I want to cover. I mean, one, you said it, but damn, on Monday I said if TJ is gonna pick Rory over his guys, Rahm and Scheffler, I just felt like it was potentially time. And I tailed you on Rory and rode up Rory, and damn, we were literally one 15-foot putt, 1 20-foot putt from getting a playoff, which then, in my opinion, really plays into Rory's hands in terms of getting, to see Wyndham on the tee box and playing that game, and nobody better positioned in terms of experience there than Rory. He just cannot make any putts when it matters, it seems. Sunday comes and, Rory played fantastic golf all week. He led the field in bogeys avoided, had the least amount of bogeys than anyone. He just couldn't make a 15-footer, couldn't make a 25-footer. And not that they weren't good putts, but like it was some of that putting display where Rory hits the putt and right away it's overread. It's not going to break that much, or it's a small push. And man, it just feels like Sunday on the greens has been such a struggle for him. I'm excited to see him get it done. I feel like he's going to get that 6th major. It's been almost a 10-year drought, but you almost called it. I almost tailed perfectly. Any thoughts on Rory and just generally how the week panned out?
Rory continues to play some great golf. Almost got it done this week. Had the little questionable embedded drop situation happen down the stretch, which I saw some people talking about. But I mean, I've seen that rule play out a couple times now. It's just is what it is. But utilize that in your own golf game out there, people.
I was going to say,
put those drops when you can find them.
Nobody uses the rules better than professional golfers.
They know exactly how to. This happens all the time.
There was a crazy drop, I think, for Scotty as well on one of the drives that he pulled way left. Someone said there was like a cord from one of the cameras,
TV tower or something.
It was. I mean, some insane stuff. And of course, I don't want to derail the show. I mean, professional golf is just so different with the grandstands and getting TIO relief. And I mean, in general, there's always going to be a questionable thing. I saw a lot of people calling out Wyndham had put his wedge behind one of the shots, and it clearly looked like the ball had moved a little bit. And if it oscillates and goes right back in his spot, it's the Dustin Johnson at Oakmont situation. And frankly, nobody wants to see that. That is killer for the game. The fans in general that tune in are clueless to why that's the case or why these sort of things could happen. I remember DJ was penalized like 5 holes after this happened at Oakmont. So whenever I saw it on Twitter, I was hoping that we didn't get anything crazy like that. Thankfully, we did not. Like we both said, I think Wyndham, was the deserved winner here. But yeah, Rory. One thing I will say, and this is kind of falls into the category of talking about the course. I struggled with LACC in terms of environment and vibe. And I guess I should know, kind of going into this West Coast course, Los Angeles Country Club, super elite club where, it's not going to lend itself to a common man feel or kind of common man atmosphere. And I think, in my opinion, it's just a big miss for a US Open venue. I loved Brookline, call the massholes, whatever you want to call the massholes, but like Boston, sports town, energy, like it was there. You could tell. And I think Rory maybe would have benefited for a bit more of a raucous environment, a bit more of a rowdy crowd, being able to hear things hole to hole. Sunday was a little bit better than the rest of the days, but if you listen to anybody talk about the course or the environment, it definitely seemed like it was down. The viewing experience on TV certainly was fine, but when you get the oohs and the ahs and the loud cheers for what's happening hole to hole, it just changes the viewing experience, I think, even for on TV, not to mention in person. But yeah, I think that was the biggest downfall for me, and from my perspective, that I thought Rory would have benefited from a bit more of a raucous crowd. So that was something that came to mind. But I also want to hit on two more guys. I want to hit on Rookie, and I want to hit on Scotty. Of course, Ricky is ranked 35 in the world now. Ricky Fowler is back. TJ and I have had many conversations off the air, and we said the best thing Ricky Fowler ever did for his golf game was wear orange. His patented orange is what made Ricky a big fan. But I think you saw today, not just him wearing orange, not just him being marketable. You saw, this week, that Ricky embraces everything about being a role model in the sport, being someone who will sign autographs forever, being someone who's just in the moment. His press conference before Sunday was, "I'm not afraid to go make mistakes. I don't fear hitting any of these shots." And I thought he would really play free. Unfortunately, it just didn't pan out on Sunday. Shoots 5 over, only made 2 birdies. And all week he was making bogeys. He was just able to make more birdies to put himself in good position after shooting that low score 62 in the opening round. So it's fun to see Ricky back. I'd love to see him continue to contend, continue to have his name at the top of the leaderboard. We'll hope that he can do that, because I think, sneakily, he's been really good this whole season, but this put him back on the map for everyone, for all the people that watch golf. And if he can get a win this year, look out, because I think he's got a kid now. His life has changed from when he was, quote unquote, really good at golf beforehand. And he went through 2 years where he struggled. So I'm really rooting for Ricky Fowler. I know he doesn't come into play for Reignmakers, but I just like the way he showed up and played this week.
No doubt. Yeah, he's been really improving, and the stats showed as well. He's 5th in strokes gained total over the last 50 rounds here. So yeah, Ricky is he's on the map. He was all over everyone's TVs all weekend. So I would not be surprised to see him get a win here sometime in the near future. Like we said, not relevant for the Reignmakers game, but definitely relevant when it comes to the world of golf. Fun to have guys like Ricky in the mix. On the other side of that spectrum, I don't know why I just love this, but Justin Thomas, man, what happened there? He was like dead last, essentially.
Yeah, so Justin Thomas, I said earlier, and I saw a bunch of tweets from the quote unquote sharps out there in the Twitter world, like, all you guys that touted Justin Thomas at 50-1. How do you feel now? I mean, Justin Thomas played atrocious on Friday, shoots like 82 or something like that. I mean, just absolutely horrific. There is like some news or some swirlings that he's hurt potentially. I have no idea what to read into that. I never really know. I don't have any sources close to Justin Thomas or anything like that. So we'll continue to keep our eye on that. I thought 50-1 was a crazy number. Obviously it wasn't, didn't even sniff the cut. I think he finished literally second to last. So something crazy like that. Yeah, so it's just been really tough for JT all season long. Hasn't been crisp with his irons. Everyone talks about how he's a wizard, can hit every shot around the green. And right now, I think maybe just overcomplicating the game and overthinking it. But yeah, it's not good. Hasn't been good for JT. And, I think golf is the kind of game where it's really hard to just turn it on when you get into these mental, especially these guys. I think it's easy to turn on your TV on Thursday and, tune into the coverage. These guys are playing golf, swinging, practicing every day of the week, pretty much at this point in the season. And, JT's out there working on his game in so many different facets. So it's hard to find the right mental space. I hope he does. JT's great for golf, but yeah, right now it's a big struggle for Justin Thomas. I want to cover Scotty. I think we all, as always, we got to cover Scotty. Pretty not talked about, that he just quietly there again, finishes third. Scotty, Wyndham, and Rory all on Sunday with a chance to shoot all rounds in terms of fantasy scoring, all rounds under 70. They all shoot 70. If Scotty or Rory Obviously, things change if Rory shoots one better because we lead to a playoff. But if Scotty shoots one better and goes -7 to -8 and shoots 69, I think that changes a lot in terms of fantasy golf because you would have gotten the all rounds under 70 bonus. Who knows how that shakes up the leaderboards? We know these leaderboards always are pretty tight. So I think Scotty was one shot away. I think he had a putt on 15 or 16 that he pushed from like 4 feet. He just pushed it completely. So otherwise, I think he played extremely good. He's starting to find the putter a little bit, it seems. So yeah, look out. I think Scotty's just going to continue to be there. His recent form is absurd. I was looking at like the breakdown for River Highlands, and like if you look at Scotty's recent form, his numbers are like all sub 10. It's like fifth, third, second, first. It's just totally insane, his recent form. So if you're holding Scotty cards, you're thrilled by that. He's in the field again this week and will continue to play really good golf. I don't think he's going away. His game is so sharp. So look for Scotty to continue his exquisite run for the last 18, 19, 20 months at this point. Any thoughts? In addition to just the fact that Scotty's the man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Scotty's the best player on tour right now. I think that's pretty much not up for debate anymore. And if you've got him in Reignmakers, you're playing him every single week and you're loving the fact that you've got Scotty in your collection. I mean, it's 5 straight top 5s now. He's leading in just about every single strokes gained category outside of putting, of course, but he did gain strokes putting last week. I mean, here's the difference, right? He gained 1.2 strokes putting and Wyndham Clark gained 7.3 strokes putting. So 6 strokes right there. One of these times, Scotty's going to get extra hot with the putter and just going to blow away the field. So keep firing Scotty into your lineups. Best Reignmakers card in the game.
And here he is. If you navigate over to our site, otmnft.com, look at the players view for the Travelers this week. Scotty sits atop the odds board, plus 600. He's plus 400 better than Cantlay, Rahm, and Rory. He's double the odds of Xander Schauffele. And yeah, it's just like insane how good Scotty is. The betting numbers for Scotty and Rahm all season have been ridiculous. And now Scotty's kind of taking it to a new level here, where in a field as strong as this, you're getting 6 to 1 to on Scotty Scheffler to win a golf tournament of 140 plus golfers. It just absolutely astronomical odds when it comes down to it. So yeah, if you got him in Reignmakers, you're thrilled about it. Keep jamming him in and keep chasing yourself your username up the leaderboard. That's for sure. Anything else on the US Open before we pivot and get into the Travelers, Teach?
No, I think it's a good transition point because we're going to be talking about a lot of the same guys that just played. Like we said, with these new elevated designated events, you're getting these stronger fields. And surprisingly, the week after the US Open, across the country in Connecticut, we've got a bunch of the big names back in the mix and should be another fun tournament here. So we can kind of do a little preview, talk about some of our favorite plays. Should be a good one.
Yeah, let's start by saying exactly what you said. Money is an absolutely fantastic way to bring out the best players in the world. There would be no way the field is this strong if it weren't for the designated event status that the Travelers got this week. $20 million purse to the winner and every big name pretty much in the field. I do expect that we'll likely see maybe a withdrawal or two. Maybe it's not crazy, but I do expect that if someone at the top of the board does withdraw or, they're not going to play, I think that changes a good bit. But yeah, when you look at who's in this tournament, it's a mirror image of what we just saw this past weekend. So it's all the guys that we like at the top of the board: Scheffler, Cantlay, Rahm, Rory, Schauffele, Victor Hovland, Tommy Fleetwood, Tony Finau, Colin Morikawa. And when you look at how this course is set up, TPC River Highlands, it's a pretty short course, par 70, 6,800 yards. To me, I looked earlier today and, it just sets up to me, like it's going to be a birdie fest and there's going to be a lot of birdies made. And then you look into some more stats and it does seem like, the course finds a way to not play 25 under par. Sometimes it plays mid-teens, sometimes it plays as low as like 10 to 12. So I think it'll be a very interesting setup with all the guys, with all the firepower in this field. I do seem to lean that like you're going to need to make birdies to win this event. So, I like Scotty even more in an event when you need to make birdies. I like guys like Rory a little less. You saw Rory this past week manage his game, make pars. When you need to just kind of take aim and fire at pins, I think it's going to favor those guys that just seemingly know how to make birdies a little bit better than others. Rahm is a guy who a year ago maybe didn't make as many birdies, and now all of a sudden he can make birdies with the best of them. So, I like Rahm and Scheffler obviously at the top of the board a lot. Cantlay seems to play well whenever there are these events where you need to play under par and you need to string them together. So I think Cantlay will continue to play good. And then I think Xander coming off a really solid US Open where he shoots the lowest round of the week. He shoots a 62, just can't hold it on Sunday. So I think Xander playing really good golf. So the top of the field is pretty stacked. I'll chunk it all the way down to Xander. If you go Scheffler, Cantlay, Rahm, Rory, Xander, TJ, who do you like? Or maybe the better question is, who do you not like? Because I think honestly, I kind of like everyone there. If you forced me to pick a name, it would be interesting. I haven't really thought of it, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely like all of them for sure. I think if I had to not like someone, I'm gonna go a 180 on Rory this week. And like you just said, not necessarily the greatest setup for Rory when we're looking at a bit of a birdie fest. Going to need to make those putts, those 15, 20-foot birdie putts that we were just talking about, how he's not quite rolling in right now. Plus, coming off of a little bit of a letdown on Sunday, just don't love the spot for Rory. So he'd probably be more on my fade list for this week. Scotty has to be number one. I mean, you basically like know you're getting a top 5 out of Scotty. It's just like, will he turn the putter on and win? So gotta love Scotty there. Rahm, I mean, as always, if you have Rahm, you're playing him. I wouldn't say that I necessarily particularly love him this week. I do think it's when we get to more of the birdie fest type setups, I do think it's more likely that we're going to see some of these other guys have a shot at the top of the leaderboard. Whereas when we're on the more difficult tracks is typically when I feel very good about the Rahm, Schefflers, etc. being on the top. So and Xander, I mean, I think it's a good spot for Xander, like you said. And you mentioned Patrick Cantlay. He's got some nice course history here, basically finishing the top 20 each of the last 5 years. So yeah, basically can find reasons to play any of them. And I like I said, Rory's my least favorite of the group, but I've got Rory cards. I'll still be playing him, of course.
Yeah, and I think that's the unique thing about Rainmakers. We've talked about this on this show plenty of times before, where you have Rainmakers and it just plays a lot different than DFS. And DFS, you're kind of making these decisions on the margin based on pricing week in and week out. And in Rainmakers, you're able to kind of be fully invested in a guy or a couple of players that you really like. And if you have Rory cards, or if you have Xander cards, I think you're in a great spot to pair them together and play them together and be at the top of the leaderboard on another elevated event, another deluxe event in terms of Rainmakers and the prize money. And I think they've done a great job at lining up the prize money according to the kind of fields that we're going to see. This is another one of the biggest events for Rainmakers in one of the strongest fields. So those cards, Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, Xander, Cantlay, going to be really needed. And it's going to be a puzzle piece of how you fit it together. We haven't mentioned this name on the show in a couple of weeks. Pretty bullish on this guy in general, but I like Victor Hovland again. When you need to fill up the cup, and you need to make birdies, Vic has shown the propensity to be able to do so in waves. And when I think you're going to need to do some of that this week, really like Hovland for the week. He's actually someone I believe I only have a core Hovland. I haven't really invested in a rare yet, but he's someone who the way he's been playing, I think is a good time to be invested in Hovland. I know a lot of people in our Discord have Hovland, and he's paid off a lot. And not to mention, we talked about Wyndham Clark being kind of underpriced from a Reignmakers standpoint over the course of the last probably the last month or so, where we said Wyndham was pretty underpriced. I look, you look at some of his pricing. I'm trying to see where he's at. Yeah, look at some of his pricing. He's $39.54 a rare. Is Wyndham going to have a major hangover? Yeah, probably. I think it's safe to say that he is going to be soaking it up, but he's right back in the field. He's on the horse. If anybody's playing, like I said, if anybody's playing at the top of their game, it's Wyndham. And clearly he wants to be the guy that people know. He wants his name to be a household name on the PGA Tour. No better way to do that than showing up here at an elevated event, not just making the cut, but making your name known on the weekend, making birdies in bunches, and trying to find your way to the top again. So I like Wyndham Clark again, because I think his game lends to hitting the ball a long way, hitting his irons well, and you clearly saw the pressure that he put on his short game and his putter, and he was able to do so. So I think if anyone's got the game cooking and their mental stamina in the right spot, Wyndham's a great play. A little further down the board. I think he's at looks like he's at plus 3,500 odds right now to win the tournament. So don't mind Wyndham at all.
Yeah,
who are you looking at?
A lot of nice players in that range. And looking at the odds board, 2,500 to 5,000 essentially. I think there's a lot of options to take a look at. Max Homa always kind of catches my eye. He's coming off the missed cut this weekend, right? But someone that we've seen be able to make some birdies in the past. Tommy Fleetwood continues to play really, really strong golf. So I like him a lot this week. He's also been really hot with the putter and rolling in a lot of birdies. I do like to look at putting a bit more in the birdie fest type of environments, because you're just going to need to make those 15 to 25 footers in order to get what you need. And who's actually, this surprised me when I saw this, but over the last 24 rounds, first in this field in birdies or better gained, Adam Scott, our guy Adam Scott, who also missed the cut last week, but he's been making some birdies, rolling in some putts. U.S. Open aside, has 3 top 10s in his last 4 tournaments, made a ton of cuts ahead of this U.S. Open. Would be surprised to see him miss back-to-back cuts. Scott's kind of always someone that we like on this show, but I like him again this week in a variety of formats. And, he's way down there on the odds board, 75 to 1. Decently priced from a Reignmaker standpoint. So I'm going to keep riding the Adam Scott train. I've got a couple of his cards in my collection. He always makes multiple of my lineups each week, and I'm going back to the well again on that one.
Yeah, Adam Scott kind of screwed my best elite team this past week, U.S. Open wise. Wasn't able to sneak into the cash. Adam Scott missed cut. Probably the biggest reason why that was the case. Had Scotty, had Cantlay, had Hideki, and then had who else did I have there? Why am I blanking?
Somebody else. Cupe forgetting his squad. I had some cashes this week. My 2 main cashes. I think I cashed for like $60 or something, which was not too bad. Also made a couple DFS lineups, but none of them went super great this week.
Yeah. Who did I have in this lineup? Tony Finau. Tony Finau was the other guy. So Scotty, Adam Scott, not the best for my team for this past week, but I definitely agree. Been playing well, been making a ton of cuts. I think we said that on a show, if not last week, the week before. He just seemingly continues to make cuts. So one miscut there, not going to kill us. One guy who I'm trying to look up his stats, but one guy who's been, in my opinion, sneakily playing a lot better golf than he has all season long is Harris English. And he's really cheap in terms of where he sits Reignmakers pricing wise. So that's what stuck out to me. Harris English at plus 5,000. He is $15 for a rare. When you look at who's around him, Denny McCarthy, $23, JT, $30. We've already covered him. Hideki Matsuyama, $36. Cam Young, $28. Everybody is not in the teens essentially. And Harris English has been sneakily pretty good. He missed the cut at the PGA, but previous to the PGA had made 5 cuts in a row. And after the PGA has made 3 cuts in a row, an 8th here at the US Open, played well at Memorial and the Charles Schwab. So yeah, I like Harris English a little bit. I think he has got pedigree. His game is coming back from injury, and maybe he's kind of fully rounded into his old form, where in last year, Harris English was atop some of the stat categories in the PGA Tour, especially with his wedges and with approach shots. So maybe Harris is kind of climbing back into recent form. Just trying to look at some statistics and where he ranks off the tee. Yeah, nothing spectacular, kind of all in this like 50 to 80 range in terms of ranking, but seemingly continue to put up results. And for me, what stood out is, just looking at that player's view, the pricing there is a solid discount for just about everyone else in and around the odds range around him. So I like Harris for this week, I believe. Any long shots, guys, you like with 10,000 plus odds or more to each?
Yeah, Harrison is a good call. He won this 2 years ago and finished T19 last year. So good course history there from Harris English. Another guy with some good course history here that we talk about often on this show. That is kind of surprising that he has that sort of history, because I don't think of him as a birdie maker. But Brian Harman, last 5 years, he's made 4 cuts, finishes of T8, T5, T8, and T6. So 4 top 10s here in his last 5 years. Find that pretty interesting. I think there's something there when you see that repeated success. And in general, Brian Harman's somebody that we like to play. Denny McCarthy, someone that can roll in the putts. Say Thigala has a little bit of my interest this week. I'd say those are kind of the long shot guys that I'm looking at. I'm not so much in on like the Sanjay Ims of the world this week.
Yeah, Sanjay's been struggling.
And he's been struggling. Like, typically you play Sanjay for the consistency, but he's kind of falling into that Justin Thomas bucket of they're just in a bit of a free fall right now. So I'm off of him for this week. But I think that kind of summarizes my favorite plays in that low area. And yeah, definitely Adam Scott, my number 1 in terms of the longer odds guys.
I like it. And I like, you guys are out there listening to this show. You hear us talk similar names. And I think, this is another element of Reignmakers I really like. You have an affinity for a couple cards that found your way into your collection, or you found some guys that you really like. If anyone's been listening or reading up on my picks, guys that I like seemingly continue to repeat themselves. Aaron Rye, Taylor Moore, Eric Cole is back in the field. We talked about how good a golf Eric Cole is playing. So some of these guys on the board, Gary Woodland, another guy who I think has a good bit of pedigree and can figure it out when he needs to. So, I think you find yourself kind of on similar plays, and that's kind of normal for fantasy golf in general. I know I've struggle with that over the years, especially in DFS when you're trying to click the right guys on the right week. But when guys are playing well, you seemingly keep coming back to them. A guy who I was all over on the US Open, both in DFS and in Reignmakers, who ended up playing really well, Dylan Wu. I really, I'll continue to say Dylan Wu's name out loud on this show and on Wednesday's show, because I don't want to write Dylan Wu up every week, but Dylan Wu, just a solid golfer right now, knows how to make cuts. It has played on the cut line several times, made it, and then played well in the weekend. So I think he's playing some phenomenal golf. I like Dylan Wu a good bit. All right. In these events, I think, the goal, especially with the way cards are continuing to come out for Reignmakers, these days, it really is about getting 5 of 5 through the cut and having the right captain. So I think in terms of like your builds, prioritizing, trying to find ways and comfortable combinations of guys that you think, hey, can make a cut, while also having a captain that has elite upside, I think is really part of the Reignmakers game at this point. If you try to get too cute and move guys in and around the captain spot, I think that's when you maybe start to overthink things and it doesn't go as smoothly. So I know for me, I'm kind kind of trying to play my collection straight up, if you will, and play the best plays, play the right captain, play the best odds from a captain perspective, unless there's really a reason to change it up, and just see where your cards lie when the golf balls are in the air. So that's been my approach. I also haven't really been. I know there's the weekly franchise score. There's the snapshot that went off that's going off today for the U.S. Open snapshot. I haven't really been buying a ton. I've been pretty comfortable with my collection. I'm in a spot where I might just kind of let my cards run out the rest of the way. Maybe there's a buy or two or a sell or two here on a given tournament. But for me, where my collection sits, I'm sitting back and kind of just playing the cards as they are. What's been your strategy in terms of Reignmakers and how you've been playing the cards, Teach?
You having video issues right now? I feel like your video is frozen, at least on my end. It looks that way on YouTube too. But
can you still hear my audio?
Yeah, we can hear the audio. You're just frozen. But that's okay.
Well, that's not ideal.
No. My bad. That distracted me from the question. About Scotty and just how you're approaching the collection.
Yeah, just how you're playing your collection.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I basically put myself in a spot where I've invested in guys that I pretty much like every week, and so I'm just kind of rotating them in and out depending on who's playing in each of the fields that come up. Find the right way to mix and match them. I've got my 2 ROM core cards that I tend to put in my best rare lineup. I've got Rory, Hovland, Finau. So I kind of mix and match between who I want to be my captain on a given week among that crew. And then I have a couple other more of the mid-range guys that I also add to fill in my 4th and 5th spots. So yeah, I think it's really a fun game for golf in particular, because you can, like you said, make those long-term bets on the golfer having a good season, having success in multiple events. And then it's not so much making, razor thin decisions each and every week. You're more so making a macro bet on the players that you like, and then hoping that you get the right combo on one given week and cash out big in one of the contests.
All right. Are we still having technical difficulties with my video? Am I still frozen?
Yeah, I mean, it can hear fine, so I think it's okay.
All right, I'm gonna kill a video feed then, and we'll keep this train rolling. Sorry about that, technical difficulties here. I think it might just be internet issues for me, but we're getting near the end of the show, anyways. And as always, that we do on the Monday recap and preview show. TJ, we hold your feet to the fire for a winner's prediction this week in a stacked field. The week after a major, on a very different golf course, on a golf course that we will need birdies to get to the top of the leaderboard here. Who do you like? Who takes home the 2023 Travelers?
Going to go with a guy that's a little bit further down the odds board, but has really been getting very, very close a couple times here, including one really, really close time where he lost in a playoff, finished 5th last week at the U.S. Open, has been rolling in some putts, making some birdies. Mr. Tommy Fleetwood, he's due, and he gets it done this week at the Travelers. My winner pick, Tommy Fleetwood. And I believe you can get him at 25 to 1, 22 to 1.
Yeah,
22 to 1 on Tommy Fleetwood.
I like that call. Fleetwood's been really close. He is playing, somewhere near the top of his game. We haven't seen him get a win yet. He's been knocking on the door, and it would be awesome to see Tommy get a win. It would be a fun course to see Tommy do it. I think this course definitely sets up for his game. Don't need to be the longest driver of the golf ball. It's not the longest course. So, someone that needs a hot putter and to roll in birdies, and Tommy certainly has that as of late. All right. Anything else for the people before we shut it down? As always, I'll have a Tuesday article out. Tomorrow, we'll do the Wednesday lineup show where I'll build all of my lineups on our site, otmnft.com, show you guys any of the tools, and would love to hear from you all. What are your questions, thoughts? Usually go through any listeners' questions on that show as well. TJ, any final words for the people before we wrap it up and get out of here?
Good luck in this week's contest, and we'll also have some Blitz Pick'em golf contests packs available for sale shortly, so check that out as well. otmnft.com/blitzfantasy.
Absolutely love it. Blitz Fantasy up and running. A lot of people had a great time sweating the US Open, so that is will be back for the Travelers. Look for those packs to go live at some point today or tonight. All right, I think that will do it. Technical difficulties aside, TJ, great show. Love to hear your insight as always. And for all you listeners out there, I'll talk to you all on Wednesday's lineup show. And until then, take it easy. Get your franchise score noted. Take a look for the additional DK dollars that will come out from that. And happy spending on the marketplace. And we will talk to you on Wednesday. With that said, he's TJ. I'm Cupe. Talk to you all later.